even in America, it's hard for Americans to grasp, but this ideal of our American dream is not that attainable for a large swath of Americans. And sometimes when I speak to international audiences, there too, even though they kind of know it's happening, they too are sometimes surprised by like our poverty rates, that 1 in 5 children are in poverty, that we have some of the lowest, highest infant mortality rates in the developed world, those type of things. So.
Given the fact that one of the things that you spoke about in your presentation was the fact that the right to work movement and how it's taking over the United States. I mean, I don't know if you heard, but that concept is coming into Canada.
That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, and we're getting wind of it, and we're finding it quite scary. What would you tell Canadians, or what would you tell unions how to prepare for this?
You know, you have to come with everything you have to stop this legislation. If this right-to-work legislation in Canada is anything like it is in the U.S., this is devastating to workers. This is the reason, this was a dormant issue in the U.S. It was in the 40s and 50s when most of the 20 states that were right-to-work became right-to-work, and that was the end of it. Then we had a little bit movement in the late 1990s and 2000. I think 2001, Oklahoma had gone right-to-work. Then you have, again, like I said in the talk, you had this idea of this motivation met opportunity and the implosion of basically fiscal budgets. Right? State budgets blew up because of the Great Recession, because of the wizards on Wall Street, yet they were blaming the public sector workers. And so this idea of union going right to work in these states, they know that this is further going to dismantle union rights. As weak as they are in the U.S., there is still room to get weaker, and they know that. So they push through in our Rust Belt, in our union strongholds of 2 states, Michigan and Indiana, this right to work bill. Actually, it was introduced right to work in the last few years in 17 states. So now half of the U.S. is right to work, and the other half they're going to try to be fighting for it. I don't know how successful we're going to keep, pushing them back. We have been successful in pushing them back in some of the states, obviously, but it's an uphill battle. And we know from the statistics, again, this isn't a political or a sentimental argument. I know the numbers. And right to work means less wages for workers, less benefits for workers, and more going to businesses and corporations.
And the economy gets worse as well.
The economy gets worse, and large swaths of American workers are being left behind without right to work. So introduce right to work, and things even get worse.
It's something that we all need to be aware of, and we need to be on the forefront of this, and we need to get on this as soon as possible. And I'm really happy that
get out on earlier. Education. I mean, this is what I try to do in the U.S. is tell the story that I just told you, so people on the ground in the U.S. and elsewhere, what is happening to me? Like, Americans are suffering. But they kind of close their doors because Americans who are successful give themselves way too much individual credit. And Americans who are suffering through like unemployment, long unemployment spells, again, because of the Great Recession, through no fault of their own, they kind of then start blaming themselves. They're not likely to blame the system or saying we need to change the system. So education is key, and it's going to be key to your right to work fight.